So poached. Still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You gotta commit 6, 7. Up, hammer! You gotta defend that weak side, guys. I know. It's already set. In. Get 2 hands out. Move.
As you can see here, Josh has a really sweet high release flick. Maybe not the best choice, but resist skying when their defender is in front of you. In the H-stack, it's really tricky to have that help on the last back. There are 2 throws here that are both uncovered with the longs, so we need to help out as a team. Maybe one of the guys who were playing defense can tell me what the mark was. As you can see, the mark starts forcing home, and then the force is home, and then it's forced away, and then it's forced away. This makes it very difficult for the downfield defenders to know where to position themselves. This was the #1 biggest defensive problem besides covering the last back. The mark is very inconsistent throughout the whole scrimmage. Something we need to work on improving.
Shane, you need to cut.
Another area we need to continue to improve upon is the use of dishes. Over here we have some nice dishes. Later in the second half of the scrimmage, when we're getting more tired, we see less dishes coming, and we see more holding the disc, which results in the defense constricting. So cutters need to be able to dish that disc. In this sequence, Taco is wide open in the middle of the field, and Caleb is totally uncovered. I think in this situation, if the handler doesn't feel confident, they need to look to dish or dump right away and not hold the disc. But Taco, you are totally capable of stretching around and breaking that mark, or throwing the high backhand, or throwing the scooper to wide open Caleb. These are good swings. We are using the whole field in this situation. There are many other situations we're not using the whole field. Oftentimes we swing, we look up the line. I think we need to be a little quicker to swing back the width of the field if there are no options. In the red zone, we really need to commit to resetting if we don't have a very confident throw for a score. August has a good strike prevent up throw mark, but he needs to quickly come back to the mark so that it's not an easy wide open break. The initial break leads to 2 more breaks. As you recall, August had the force away early on, and here the force is clearly home. So what was the force, home or away?
Okay, do your best. Do your best. Do your best. Charles. Hey, where's the control? Hey, Wyatt.
I like that Charles and Caleb had eyes on the disc and were able to get this D in the middle. Caleb has excellent pivoting. If you'll notice, not all of our handlers pivot this well. And the back and forth works out in the end zone here. As we get ready for our big competition, let's focus on our top 4 pullers doing all the pulling. That would be Nate, Jared, Josh, and Caleb. After some pretty effective swings and movement in front of the end zone, notice Ryland stopping the break continuation and then coming in to hold the mark. Notice the mark is force away. The mark is force away. And then all of a sudden the mark is force home. And all of a sudden the mark is force home. This is going to kill our downfield defensive positioning. Switching the mark like that is in essence just giving the open person the pass. And also here with Nate, needs to be last back and not fronting in on the last back there. Here's a situation where we have some good help D. Nate coming back to help Josh on that last back. Here we have another example of not going for the catch. I think we had 3 tips that were caught by our opponent, and everyone resulted in a score. Caden didn't get many touches, but he did a really good job of dishing and dumping whenever he got it. On the day, I believe we might have had 6 or 7 attempted hammers, and only 1 or 2 were completed. We really need to avoid those hammers if at all possible. I'm exaggerating a bit, but my philosophy is 1 hammer per 1,000 practices. Good D here by Benjamin. I would still like to see the catch. When we catch our Ds, we're able to continue the play much more quickly than knocking the pass down and having the defense reset. In this situation, Joseph is being poached. He needs to say, watch the poach, or he needs to get open so that the throw can come to him instead of the throw going into double coverage. This is the example of where the weak side handler or the dump handler needs to communicate and be the eyes for the main handler. Another example of blown forces and defense. The force is away, but the mark is too weak. There's a huge open space. Joseph is too far from the cutter, so it's like a free pass. I'm not totally sure what the force is. It looks like it's force away again. Now it's forced home. So I'm not sure if Caleb is on the wrong side or if the mark is going the wrong way, but in that, as you can see, having the wrong mark can really mess up the defense. Makes me wonder how we would have done if we had the force on the right side. We do a really good job of shredding through the poach D here. We might consider also running a poach D against the H stack. The turnover happened really quick. We need to communicate if a main handler has it, a hooker has it, that last back absolutely needs to be behind the cutter. Circle was executed pretty well. Taco did kind of pick his defender, but it wasn't called. We need to make sure we avoid that pick. Great put here by Jared, and great cut and catch by August. I like how August turns and commits to the dump. This put to Taco was a little rushed. Ryland has it. He's a big hooker, and once again, our last back is not behind the last cutter. Both 2 cutters get past the last back, and that is awful. Having said that, it is the whole team and sideline's responsibility to make sure that the last back is not getting burned. If anything, I blame myself and the sideline for not communicating that last back. In this next sequence, there are a lot of good, crisp passes. When August is shut down by a very good Matt defending him, he clears out for Joseph to come in for the dump. We need to see more of that not clogging in the dump position. Nice break by Jared. When that dump comes to Benjamin, I'd like to see the swing a lot sooner. The defense gains in confidence the longer that disc is held. Tim needs to be active on the far side.
Work it. There you go, Benjamin. Good, Benjamin. Good, Joseph. Next. Taco, you're close. Matt, you're hot. Matt, you're hot. Go, Matt. Go, Matt. You guys. Yeah, Matty. You're all right. That's it. Yeah. Strike. Yeah, hey, he's all right. Yeah, he's back. Somebody's got to be back. Okay, Matt, we're not going to expect you to block the high. Listen, Matt, you're hot.
After the fake, Jared has a very sick lefty high backhand. I don't think we end up scoring this point, which is sad. We had trouble in the red zone. I think the defense compresses. We have less room to work with, and we need to be more careful, make sure we have 3 handlers out so that we can reset when we get in the red zone. We are often comfortable with the quick strike, but the quick strike is something that should be secondary in the end zone, in the red zone. The mark of a patient, experienced team is one that can swing it back and forth until a wide open hole appears for the score.
Hey, let's get off the line, Fupu!
I like in this sequence how August looks to the dump, then he looks for the break mark, then he looks upfield and swings it to Nate. 360-degree vision is what I want to see from all of our players. I really like how Jared takes off right when he throws. Caleb and Josh also do this quite well. Taco attacks this disc on offense quite well with the defender close behind him. After Jared gets it on the sideline, it ends up working out, but after holding it a few seconds, we really need to think about swinging it all the way across to the other side of the field, which should be an easier score. I really like the height of Jared's pulls. It gives a decent amount of hang time for us to get down and set up. Joseph is really hustling on D there.
What's happening? Next. Wing it again if you can. Yes, he is. I disagree. He cannot play. Use the whole field, guys. Use the whole field. Where's the dump? Up. Where's the cutters? Where are the cutters?
So many times we found ourselves on the right end zone line. This is where we need to think about swinging it all the way across the field and attacking the weak side and not clogging the force side. Even with that swing, another continuation to the break would have really hurt the team instead of coming back here to the force side. I'd like to hear more communication on the field with the up calls and the switches and the last back on the field and on the sideline. As you see here, we will once again be burned long by a cutter who has cleared, actually two cutters who have cleared the last defender. Really good cut off of the pass. He was gone right after the catch and was able to make the throw for the score. This situation was totally my fault. August was coming for the dump. I think if I would have hit him earlier, we would have been in the safe, but I waited a little bit till stall 5, and Big Daniel Johnson cut him off after that, and I threw the hammer. I really would have liked to have had a few more dump swing options. Also, when we're close to the red zone, let's make space for each other. I'd almost rather see 3 cutters than 4 or 5 cutters. I like 2 things in this sequence. Both, I see Joseph is looking at multiple options. He's pivoting around. And I also like the isolation name grab bag for August. As we get close to the end of our video session here, on offense, I'd like us to use the whole width of the field. Oftentimes we're swinging it from the force side to the middle of the field and back to the force side. The easy throw is to the force side, right? But that's the hard cut. If we can make the hard throw, then the cuts will be a lot easier. And when we're looking at a team where the defenders might be bigger, more athletic, stronger, some faster, I think the path is to make the hard break throw and then ease up the situation for our cutters to get more wide open and to continue that break. We need to remember that the defense wants us to throw it to the force side and wants to trap us on the force side, and that's where we are most of the time. We want to do what the defense doesn't want us to do, which is to be breaking it and getting upfield to the break side. One last thing on offense is that I'd like us to spread the field more when we get in the red zone and maybe have one isolated stud cutter when we get close to the red zone. Oftentimes we're very unsure, there's a lack of space. We need to be willing to reset as well and find the easy hole. Good execution on the razor play. Once again, we end up on the right side of the end zone. Cutters need to be active. We got a lot of clog on the force side and not a lot of action on the break side until later. All in all, we played pretty well. This was an excellent team. It was a Frankfurt team plus 5 black lung studs. So it was a decently strong club open team. And we can only end up playing better if we can learn from our mistakes and from our weaknesses. I'd really like us to see us become more consistent with our marks and covering on the correct side and covering our last back.